Alright everybody, welcome back to yet another YouTube video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about things that I try to think about when I pick a new market that I want to start promoting in. So keep in mind in this video that you don't have to basically make a complete checklist of everything that I'm mentioning in this video. You just try to keep these things as just keep them in the back of your head and see them as guidelines when you decide to pick on a new market, because something that I talk about a lot, especially when I talk with my community members and they ask me questions. And sometimes I just basically answer that I'm going a lot with my own intuition when I am doing stuff. It could be anything from keyword research to picking new markets to casinos that I want to work with. And I think that maybe this intuition has it's come to me throughout all of the years that I've been doing casino affiliate marketing, because now at this point I've been doing it for a very long time. So for you that are completely new, I think that this video can be very helpful when you want to either pick your first market or also, of course, picking your second or third or fifth market. So my experience with this is that I've been working in quite a lot of markets now. I honestly don't know how many I worked with. Some of the decisions I've made has been based on either what other people tell me to start in markets, like if there's another affiliate that is successful, that he basically just tells me that, oh, you should try this market out because I'm having a lot of success in this market. That is one of the main things that I have based my decisions on. Another one is also talking to affiliate managers, and basically the people that are managing the casinos, because although they are very biased sometimes on the markets that they are operating in themselves, it could also kind of serve as guidelines, because if you are talking to maybe 10 different affiliate managers and all of them are talking about the same market, maybe there's some truth in this market being quite a good one. Also, it happens quite sometimes as well when a casino reaches out to me and says that they are stopping operations in a market. Obviously, that should be a sign that maybe this market is not as attractive anymore. But obviously, of course, take all of the things that they are saying with some grain of salt. And the third one is basically me doing the research that I'm going to talk about in this video. Because it is important to pick a good market, of course, but also keep in mind that a market that works for someone might not work for someone else. So that is something that I've seen a lot, that some people are very successful in a market while others struggle to be successful in that market. So everything comes down to everything else that you know about casino affiliate marketing. It's not as easy as just picking a market and you're going to be successful automatically. That's not how it works either. But hopefully this video can help you. So I'm going to jump into my PowerPoint presentation and let's see how that goes. So now you should be able to see my PowerPoint presentation here. I really like to use these PowerPoint presentations, although a lot of my videos are kind of, I'm just thinking about a topic and then I create one of these so I can keep kind of like a steady flow in my videos. I think I'm going to go back into my screen share as well and jump around a bit, maybe in Google, and check out some stuff as well. I haven't really decided yet, but I will decide soon if it's needed. So I'm just going to rapid fire this whole presentation and let's see how long this video is going to be. So what I look for before entering a new casino market, of course, we have to look at the opportunity and the risk and the profitability. And what you are doing here basically is that I don't think that you're really choosing a market, but you're choosing an opportunity, because choosing a market is not the thing that you're doing. You're choosing to find a new opportunity within your business, because one approach of this could also be, let's say that you already are working in a couple of markets, maybe just choosing a new market or expanding too fast might not be the best idea for you. Maybe you should stick and manage your resources in the markets that you're currently operating in, because each of these markets, I wouldn't say that if you have a website that is a multi-geo website that is targeting many different markets, I wouldn't say that you're starting over every time you enter a new market, because a website can build up some authority already with Google. So a big website that is entering a new market might have an advantage compared to a completely new website that is just opening up for this market. But every market requires commitment, and it's also going to require resources. And if you have limited resources, such as money and time, or like scalability or outreach opportunities, maybe choosing a new market might not be the best idea for you. But one strategy I have used is that I want to try a new market, but maybe I don't want to work on it immediately. I just throw it out there anyway on my website and put up some just standard random pages on it to have the kind of use an MVP or bare minimum of a new market. So that when the day comes that I want to try the market, I kind of already have the groundwork done. So maybe that is also going to help me rank faster in that market. I would say whenever I start a market, I need around maybe 20,000 words to open that market. Usually I'd like to send at least 2 or 3 initial backlinks for that market as well. So let's say that opening up a new market for me would cost around, I would say €2,000, dollars. So what I do usually is that I'm checking the traffic potential and the search behavior. I think the search behavior is very important when you are picking a new market. A very good example could be what kind of search engines they are using. Let's say that you want to open up in maybe it's not the best idea at the moment, but maybe the Russian market. They are not really using Google that much. Obviously, if you are optimizing your website for search engine optimization, SEO, you are going to also rank in other search engines such as Yandex. But let's say that you want to start ranking a website in a country that rarely uses Google. Maybe that is something that you also have to think about. So the best thing you can do here, obviously, is to just go to the search results, preferably use a VPN as well, and find some relevant keywords in that market and see basically how the search results look. I'm going to go through this as well, way more in this video. And also the monetization. Seeing the player value and the deals that you can be offered from the operators. I have seen this a couple of times, both with myself and also with community members, that they are entering a market and they realized or they noticed that the player value is very, very low. So getting a return on your investments, backlinks, is going to be very hard in these markets. You're going to require way bigger volumes of traffic in order to make more money. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't go into markets with a lower player value, because markets with higher player value is usually way more competitive and also maybe more saturated. So here you have to find a really, I don't know, like a balance between this. I think maybe my own approach or my best approach would be to try to find a market with higher player value or at least moderate player value and try to find a niche inside of this market that you can target and penetrate. And also, obviously, checking out the regulations in a market. It is very important also, depending on if you want to promote regulated or unregulated casinos in this market, then the regulations is going to be very important. Also, depending on where you live, of course, some people are more wary in working in their home country if the country is very regulated because they are afraid of repercussions. This is not something that I see much at all, but this is something that some people think about. And also, I'm not going to give any legal advice at all in this video, so this is stuff that you have to check up yourself. So the market size on the population. Look at the total populations, but also focus on active gamblers. If you are targeting maybe a country where you know that there is a religion maybe that is prohibiting people from gambling or are making people not really that gambling adverse, maybe even if the market is big, maybe it's not the best idea. Maybe I would use Indonesia as an example, because this country is huge, almost 300 million people here, but because most of them have a religion that doesn't really, that really doesn't really make them want to gamble that much. So yeah, I also wrote it here, like the cultural interest in gambling. This also is going to help if you know a market way better. Let's say that you are from a certain country, then you know kind of how people are interacting with gambling. Maybe if you are in a country where you know that people are doing a lot of sports betting, because that is huge in your country, maybe that is something that you can focus on. If you are in a country where you know that people are using a lot of apps to play, it could be anything, but all of this stuff is really good to keep in mind when you're choosing a market. So it's very easy to just go to Google or whatever and just see how many people live in a country. Let's say that you want to target Norway or Sweden. Sweden has like 10 million people population, which is quite small compared to bigger markets such as Germany. Honestly, I don't really know how many people live there, but I think it would be closer to maybe 80 million, something like that. Don't quote me on this, but you see that the market is 8 times bigger. And I also do know from experience that the Swedish market is very saturated. So there's many big players that are fighting for 10 million people, basically. But on the other hand, the player value in Sweden is very high. And I think also the lifetime value of the players are also very high. And there's a lot of other factors as well. I think I'm going to talk about payment methods as well, because that is also a very important factor to see if they have any really good native payment methods that is going to very, very much help your conversion rates. So search demand, Google behavior. Are users searching for casinos? Are they searching for bonuses? Or are they searching for other terms? Because different countries have different search habits. Maybe this is not something that you necessarily have to look at when you're choosing a market, but this is something that you definitely have to think about when you are operating in a market, because I can make a pretty easy example. Let's say that you are operating in the UK market. Maybe in the market there, they are using the term slots, online slots. But then if you are going into the New Zealand market or the Australian market, they're using the word pokies instead. So of course you can still probably rank for the terms online slots, but there they're using another term called pokies. There are also in some countries that they have specific games. I know in Brazil, for example, crash games were huge. So if you want to narrow yourself down in a market such as the Brazilian market, just targeting crash games. At least a couple of years ago when I did it, it was very successful. And another thing, of course, you can do when you're looking at search demand is that you can go to tools such as Ahrefs, SEMrush, and seeing the volumes of the keywords that people are searching for. Something you can also check here, that it's kind of like a bonus tip, is that you can see also how much people are searching for specific operators. And in that way, you can also see how popular certain niches is in a country. Let's say that you go to Ahrefs and search for Bet365. Then you can also see in what countries most people are searching for Bet365. And this also kind of shows that they are gamblers. Don't just do one thing. Don't just do two things. Maybe try to build like a kind of like a big picture of the things that you might have to check up. I also mentioned it in the beginning of the videos. Trusting your intuition as well is something that is very good to do. And also, if you pick a market and you're not happy with the market, or you want maybe to try two new markets, or you try one and then you switch to another one, that is also completely fine. Don't just expect that you're going to be successful with every market that you try out. Because for me, I'm trying to just throwing out a big net. Let's say that, just as an example, I decide to target 10 markets. Maybe 3 of them is going to be successful. So I just keep focusing on these 3 successful ones, the ones I'm making the most revenue from. So see also how Google ranks websites in this market, which pages are ranking, because I actually prepared it here. I searched for, because I'm already using my Swedish VPN, so I searched for best Bitcoin casinos here, or besta. And you can see here that the people that are ranking here are affiliates. So you can see here that best Bitcoin casinos is Gambling Insider. This is also like some affiliate websites. You can also, of course, see here, this is very clearly affiliate websites, such as the ones that maybe you want to build. But you can also see here, for example, I found another one here, mex.co is also ranking for Swedish keywords, which means that this is basically a parasite site that is just using an age-expired domain to basically steal authority. And these websites are usually coming and going in search results because it's against Google's terms and conditions to basically just like surf on expired domains and use their authority to rank on keywords that are not relevant to the website. But in some keywords, in some markets, you can see a lot of these sites basically use weird names. I think I saw another one here. This is a website about like golf here. So I guess that this website is not created for casino, but they're using it anyway. But all in all, I think that if you want to target Sweden and you want to try to Bitcoin casinos, I think that this is quite a good keyword and a good example of how the search result could look. If you also, on the other hand, goes and search for a keyword and you see a lot of the operators, let's say that Bet365 would rank here and other casinos, that means that Google is favoring on these specific keywords, or in this country or market, they are favoring ranking the operators instead of the affiliates. So of course that is going to make it harder for you to drive traffic. So just manual checking like this, I think it's quite a good idea. So I wrote it here, local brands with international affiliates winning. Is the market driven by backlinks? Of course, you can go into a lot of brands, casinos, and build big spreadsheets of how many backlinks you're going to need, content and brand authority. But don't just spend like 1-2 months just trying to analyze the market, because then you lost 2 months just trying it out. And also the purchasing power that I talked about before. High traffic does not equal high revenue, because there are countries, let's say South Africa. I think I had a community member that had problems making big money in South Africa, even though they had quite some traffic. And like I mentioned also before, like if the country doesn't have the same GDP per capita as other countries, maybe you should try to find the balance here, because at the end of the day, backlink cost, content cost, the time you're spending is going to maybe be quite similar in many markets. So focusing on countries that you feel like you can make some money in, I think that that is one of the best advice in this video. I've done that mistake myself, and now I am almost only targeting European countries, because for me it's more fun. You can also get way higher deals as well. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So player value, it's the lifetime value here. Estimate how much a player is worth over time. Obviously, this is very hard to know before you enter a market. And that is why it's very good to have a community. I'm going to do a shout out to my own community here. If you have a community like CasinoAffMastery, link in the description, you can talk to other people about this. And maybe if you did talk to people before you started in a market, you could save yourself a lot of money and time not entering a market that other people have tried and failed in. Lifetime value of a player is usually way higher if the market is regulated, because people are more prone to stay on a casino that is treating them fairly and casinos that they already did a lot of KYC on to be able to play at. So that's just what I've been noticing. Of course, if you're going on the more unregulated route, you can find way better deals, kind of like faster cash. But on the flip side, building up big accounts with big regulated operators could really snowball your revenue. Even though you're not bringing in a lot of new players, having a lot of active players is very underestimated. Casino presence and affiliate deals. I think that this one is also very important, because I've entered the market myself. I think I entered the Turkish market, and I actually started ranking quite well in the Turkish market. But I realized that there's not a lot of operators working there, so I had to kind of chase down operators. And even though I put them up, they were not really converting that well. So maybe here I didn't really do my research before. I didn't ask affiliate managers or casinos what the deals were in these markets. So the deals were very low and the baselines were very high. I have a lot of other videos on my YouTube channel about deals, so you can also go and check them out. But of course, there are markets that are offering way higher deals, and these are usually markets where the player value is going to be higher. So something you can check if you want to know the presence of casinos operating there is that you can do just like I did. You can go to Google and you can search for some keywords in your market you want to try out and see the lists they have there. Maybe you're even going to recognize some casinos that you already work with, or you're going to see very long lists of casinos. And then you can kind of get a head count of if there is a lot of casinos working there. But also on the other hand, if you open like 10 tabs from the same keyword and you see the same like 3-4 casinos operating in that market, maybe the market is not really, there's not a lot of casinos operating there, and maybe there's also a reason they're not operating there, because it's harder. So that is also something that you should check out. And like I mentioned, ask people, ask me. You can do that. You can book a call with me, a completely free one in the description, if you want to ask me anything regarding this video as well. So regulated versus unregulated markets. I have a complete video about this topic on my YouTube channel. I posted it maybe a month ago or two. So this is something that you should maybe pause this video and watch, so I don't have to go through it in every video. But there are regulated markets where unlicensed casinos are operating anyway. So these markets could be very powerful if you want to promote unlicensed casinos, because you can get very high deals. The casinos are going to offer very high bonuses as well, so it's going to increase your conversion rate, and you can make a lot of money promoting unlicensed casinos in both regulated and unregulated markets. But maybe it's risky, maybe you don't want to do that. That is completely fine, because one good thing I think also with unlicensed casinos or unregulated markets is that they cannot really do any type of legacy media marketing. They cannot really go out in television ads and stuff. So they are very highly relying on affiliates. So they're going to put way more effort in that. And I can compare it to the Brazilian market that is very regulated at the moment. Many of the big players there are more going into legacy media. Maybe they're supporting or promoting, what's it called, like sponsoring football teams and doing more like radio ads and stuff like that. And they are not really relying on affiliates as much anymore. So that is also a thing that you could think about. But that is also something that if you've been in the industry, you're going to start picking up on all of these small things. So of course there's a risk tolerance here. Maybe a market is unregulated and it's becoming regulated. That is might be able to change everything. If a market is already regulated and you check to see if it's, the tightening the regulations, or if it's kind of, they have kept the same kind of regulations for a long time, that might be a good market for you. So the complexity of the regulations is quite important. One of the things can be if you are working with very big operators, they're going to put a lot of pressure on you to be compliant with all of the regulations. I've had that problem myself a lot with Bet365. They're going into my websites in many countries and saying basically that you cannot do this, you cannot mention this, you have to change the bonus here, we cannot be listed with these brands, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I would have the option to stop working with them, but since they are a big partner of mine, I cannot really stop working with them. So payment methods as well in regulated markets. A good thing with payment methods here, if the casino has a proper license, is that the payment methods are usually going to be very safe and they're going to be easy to use. And payment methods, I think, is one of the things that is increasing your conversion rates from register to depositing player the most. So check this. I think I'm going to mention it soon as well, talking a bit more about payment methods. But yeah, complex, big markets might require you more resources. Another example I can use is the US. US is heavily regulated markets, both for operators and for affiliates. You even need a license in order to operate as an affiliate. So that is a market I usually tell people to stay away from. And also because there are huge affiliate companies there that is dominating the search results. So stay away from that market would be my suggestion. Unless you want to go super black hat, which I don't recommend either. But you can do it if you want. And also the competition level. I'm also using usually Sweden as an example here because I know that kind of affiliate marketing casino kind of springs from Sweden. A few of the biggest companies in this industry kind of came from Sweden. So a lot of these companies started in the Swedish market, which also means that they've been operating in the Swedish market for many years. So of course, combined with it being a smaller country as well, it's going to be very hard to kind of grab your market shares in this market. So high competition, of course, if they have been building backlinks for years and years. But for you to catch up with them in terms of authority and backlinks is going to cost you both more time and also more money. So entering the Swedish market, as an example, wouldn't be my best suggestion maybe, because it's a hard market. But of course, you can also find kind of like smaller niches inside of the Swedish market that maybe you can claim market shares by being a bit more specific with your topical authority. I cannot come up with an example right now, but maybe you want to just focus on horse racing in Sweden. Maybe there's not like huge affiliates yet that is doing that. And I think I touched it a bit, time to results. Easy markets may show tractions faster because the competition is going to be lower. Basically, Google doesn't have enough websites to rank, or of course they have, but they don't have the bigger websites yet that are going to basically take up a lot of the #1 positions in the search results. But competitive markets can take way longer. I am very honest on my YouTube channel saying that SEO is a long-term game with a lot of delayed gratification. If you are not ready to wait for the results, I don't think that casino affiliate marketing is something for you because it's going to take time. On the flip side, however, is that it's good that it takes time because that is going to make a lot of people not interested in maybe working in this niche. It's going to be, in that regard, less competition. And also, once you kind of reach a stable amount of revenue, it's basically just going to stay there and you can make a lot of quote-unquote passive income when you finally reach the stage of making money. So these time expectations should also match your strategy. So I feel like maybe a good approach here would be to target something smaller in the beginning where you can actually see some growth. And then once you build both your knowledge bank higher and also when you start being able to reinvest a lot of money, then you can maybe go and target higher competitive markets where you can make more money. So I think this was the last slide of the day. So that was the end of this video. I really hope you liked this video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section. If you want to subscribe, feel free to do that as well. And I hope you will have an amazing day. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.